We can't say for certain, but one thing is becoming increasingly clear. By the time civilizations began building cities, humans already had a very long relationship with smoke. The habit didn't suddenly appear, it had been evolving for thousands of years. And the deeper archaeologists dig into humanity's past, the older that relationship continues to become. The real mystery isn't whether ancient people smoked, it's how much earlier it all began, long before history had anyone around to write it down.
In Utah's Great Salt Lake Desert, researchers discovered ancient campfires containing wild tobacco seeds dating back nearly 12,000 years. No pipes were found. No cigarettes, of course. Just carefully placed tobacco seeds inside a human-made hearth. Scientists still debate exactly how they were used. Were people burning them intentionally? Were they preparing medicine? Or were they already experimenting with inhaling tobacco smoke thousands of years before anyone imagined a pipe?
It wasn't recreational entertainment. It appears to have been part of an important ritual, possibly connected to funerals or communication with the spiritual world. But that's only one discovery. Ancient Greek historian Herodotus described nomadic tribes living across the Eurasian steppes who would build small tents, heat large stones until they glowed, and throw hemp onto them. According to his account, the people inside the tents laughed, shouted, and celebrated as the smoke filled the air. For centuries, many scholars assumed he was exaggerating. Then archaeology caught up. Excavations uncovered the same types of braziers, burned stones, and hemp residues exactly where those tribes once lived. Suddenly, what sounded like an unbelievable story became historical evidence. But perhaps the biggest surprise came from North America.
That's the frustrating part. Unlike stone tools or fossilized bones, plants disappear. Leaves rot, wooden pipes decay, ash gets scattered by wind and rain. After thousands of years, almost nothing remains. So archaeologists have had to become detectives. Instead of looking for smoke itself, they search for tiny clues left behind. One of the strongest pieces of evidence comes from the mountains of Central Asia. There, archaeologists uncovered ancient wooden braziers inside burial sites dating back more than 2,500 years. When scientists analyzed the black residue left on the stones, they discovered something remarkable. It came from cannabis plants with unusually high levels of psychoactive compounds. This wasn't an accident. Someone had deliberately heated these plants inside enclosed spaces, allowing people nearby to inhale the smoke. Microscopic residues hidden within burial sites. Together, these fragments suggest that prehistoric people weren't merely sitting beside fires. They were actively shaping what those fires contained. And as fire became more than a survival tool, it also became something else. A doorway to experiences unlike anything found in ordinary daily life. For the first time in history, humans may have realized they could change not only the world around them, but the world inside their own minds. If ancient humans really experimented with smoke, where's the proof? The real question is how long it took before someone intentionally placed those plants into a fire. Unfortunately, archaeology rarely preserves the answer. Smoke disappears within minutes. Leaves decompose quickly. Wood turns to ash. Even if humans intentionally burned psychoactive plants 50,000 years ago, the evidence would almost certainly be gone today. This creates one of archaeology's greatest challenges. Sometimes the absence of evidence doesn't mean something never happened. It simply means time erased the proof. That's why researchers rely on indirect clues. Ancient fireplaces, burned seeds, chemical traces trapped inside stone tools. Certain aromatic plants became part of ceremonies. And somewhere within this growing body of knowledge, humans may have discovered that some plants offered something entirely different. Not food, not shelter, not medicine in the usual sense, but an altered state of mind. Scientists today know that many naturally occurring plants contain compounds capable of affecting the human brain. Some stimulate alertness, others reduce pain. Some create calmness, others produce vivid sensory experiences. These plants existed long before humans evolved. The question isn't whether ancient people lived near them, they certainly did.
Some anthropologists believe this kind of experimentation wasn't rare at all. Hunter-gatherers knew thousands of plant species intimately. Their survival depended on understanding the environment in extraordinary detail. Modern indigenous communities have demonstrated astonishing botanical knowledge, identifying medicinal uses for hundreds of local plants without written records. Ancient humans likely possessed similar expertise. That means they weren't blindly wandering through nature. They were active students of it. Every season revealed something new. Every landscape offered different resources. Every successful discovery became knowledge shared across generations. Over time, accidental encounters transformed into deliberate traditions. Certain woods became preferred for cooking. Certain herbs became valuable medicines.
If one particular plant consistently produced unusual experiences, someone would almost certainly have remembered it. The next time they built a fire, they might search for that same plant again. Not by accident, on purpose. This simple act may represent one of humanity's earliest forms of experimentation. Long before laboratories, long before scientific journals, there were campfires. Every evening became a small experiment in survival. People constantly tested nature. Which foods were edible? Which plants healed wounds? Which herbs kept insects away? Which leaves made sleep easier? And perhaps, which smoke changed the mind? Some anthropologists believe this kind of experiment, maybe conversation grows louder. Maybe laughter spreads more easily than usual. Perhaps dreams become unusually vivid that night. No one understands chemistry. No one knows what molecules are. But humans have always been exceptional observers. If something changes the way you feel, you remember it. And if it happens more than once, curiosity takes over. That's one of humanity's greatest evolutionary strengths. Our ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest animals on Earth. They survived because they noticed patterns. This berry makes you sick. That root cures stomach pain. These footprints belong to dangerous predators. That cave stays warm during winter. The same careful observation could easily have applied to smoke. If one particular plant consistently produced unusual experiences,
Lots of it. Modern humans usually avoid smoke whenever possible. We have chimneys, ventilation systems, and air purifiers. Ancient people had none of those luxuries. If you lived near a fire, smoke entered your lungs every single day of your life. For hundreds of thousands of years, that was completely normal. This constant exposure may have done something unexpected. It taught humans to notice differences. Not every fire smelled the same. Different trees burned differently. Dry branches produced one kind of smoke, fresh wood created another. Certain grasses released pleasant aromas, while others produced thick clouds that irritated the eyes and throat. Resin-rich woods crackled loudly and filled the air with sweet scents that lingered long after the flames died. Eventually, people would have realized that the plants surrounding their camps could change the character of a fire. Some made the smoke calming, others made it unpleasant, and a few may have produced effects that were impossible to ignore. Imagine gathering firewood one afternoon. Without realizing it, you collect a shrub growing beside the trees. That evening, someone throws the bundle onto the flames. Minutes later, the entire group notices something different. Maybe everyone becomes unusually relaxed. Maybe conversation. To them, smoke meant something much deeper. So, when did humans really start smoking? Was it an accidental discovery beside an ancient fire? Did early hunters experiment with wild plants until they found something extraordinary? Or has the desire to alter consciousness always been part of what makes us human? To answer that question, we need to travel back, not hundreds or thousands of years, but to a time before civilization itself, when fire was humanity's greatest invention and curiosity was our most powerful survival tool. Because the story of smoking doesn't begin with tobacco, it begins with fire. For early humans, fire wasn't just a source of warmth, it was the center of life. Every evening, families gathered around it. Hunters returned with meat, children listened to stories, elders passed down knowledge that couldn't be written because writing didn't exist. Everything important happened within the orange glow of burning wood. And with every passing night, they breathed smoke. That means the true origin of smoking is hidden somewhere deep in prehistory, long before anyone was keeping records. Yet, despite this mystery, scientists have uncovered remarkable clues. Ancient fireplaces, charred plant remains, chemical residues inside prehistoric pipes, sacred burials, religious ceremonies, even ancient writings describing people laughing, singing, and entering altered states after inhaling smoke. Each discovery adds another piece to a puzzle stretching back thousands, perhaps even hundreds of thousands of years. But here's what's even more surprising. Smoking wasn't originally a bad habit. For many ancient cultures, it was sacred. For others, it was medicine. Some believed smoke carried prayers to the heavens. Others believed it allowed humans to communicate with spirits, ancestors, or gods. In many societies, only healers or religious leaders were allowed to smoke certain plants because the experience was considered too powerful for ordinary people. The modern image of someone casually lighting a cigarette during a work break would have seemed completely bizarre to our ancient ancestors. To them, all he knows is that this smoke makes him feel different. Could that have been the very first time a human intentionally smoked? It's a fascinating question, because smoking isn't just about cigarettes or cigars. Those are incredibly recent inventions compared to the age of humanity. Long before tobacco companies, before civilizations, before farming, and even before writing existed, humans were already surrounded by smoke every single day. But at some point, simply breathing smoke wasn't enough. Someone chose it. Someone discovered that burning certain plants produced effects unlike ordinary firewood. And that simple discovery may have changed human history forever. The strange part is that archaeologists can't point to one exact moment when smoking began. Unlike stone tools, smoke disappears. Unlike bones, burned leaves rarely survive thousands of years underground. Most of the evidence simply vanished. Imagine you're standing beside a campfire nearly 100,000 years ago. The night is cold. Sparks drift into the darkness above, and the smell of burning wood fills the air. Everyone sits close to the flames, not just for warmth, but because the fire is life itself. It keeps predators away. It cooks food. It brings people together. Now imagine that as smoke rises from the fire, someone tosses a handful of strange leaves onto the burning wood. Moments later, the smell changes. The smoke becomes thicker, sweeter, and somehow different. One curious hunter leans closer. He breathes it in. His heart beats a little faster. His thoughts become lighter. The world around him suddenly feels unusual. He doesn't know what nicotine is. He doesn't know what THC is. He has never heard the words drug, medicine, or ritual.